Well, hey guys, it's Mike from Just Car People Things. We are out here at Holly Oaks ORV Park enjoying our Lexus GX460. We have aired the tires down to 25 PSI. These are the stock Michelin tires. We're on our boring tires today. We also have a couple things you're gonna need to go off-road. You're gonna need a flag. There's many different ways to mount these to a car. It's gotta be at least 10 feet tall. And we've got a suction cup mount today, compliments of our friend, the Topher, who's over here filming a Ford Ranger Raptor. We'll get some video of that too. We're out messing around. We got Rob here, another one of our buddies, in a Bronco, super cool car. And we're gonna go have a little fun. Some other things I'll recommend to you. I've got a shovel in the back. We've got a spare flag here. I've got a folding chair. Recommend a snatch strap or some sort of tow strap. Keep in mind there's a difference between a tow strap and a strap you'd use to recover a vehicle. Those are different things. We've got a recovery point in our hitch. We brought our recovery boards, and we even brought our awning. If we want to just go chill in the park, pop the awning out, have a nice place to chill, sit, grab a nice cold water, something like that, that is what we're doing. But with that said, we're going to jump in the car and we're going to head out here into the park itself. Throw it into gear. Seatbelt's always on when you're off-road. And we're off. Nice enough there to let us out in the Jeep. So we're just gonna head down the hill here, and this is what drops you into what is a very dusty park. I feel a power washing coming in my future. And first things first is a pretty decent off steep road downhill here. They actually do a lot of random, this used to be a gravel pit, which is really pretty common. Used to be an aggregate mine. It's common in this area, and we're gonna go out and just knock around a little bit in the park. The GX is very capable off-road. Of course, I just leave it in four-wheel drive right now. It's all-time all-wheel drive. And then as you get further into the park, and you know what I like to do is leave it in 4 high without any of the extra assists on. And if you get into trouble, then put the assists on. So you can flip your center locking diff on, you can put it into 4 low, you can, you know, sort of rely on the car's systems to sort of get you out of trouble, so to speak. So that being said, there's a lot of option here. You can see some really crazy, steep, nasty stuff. You can see just sort of some general stuff out here. This is kind of a big hangout area. I tend to like to sort of hang here until the rest of the crew joins us. We've got a guy in a kind of a cool Jeep behind us here, but our gang is somewhere else. So we'll hang here for a minute. We'll be right back with you. All right, well, we're waiting for the gang here. We can take a look, and we've got kind of a bit of a feature here to get up and over. And so you always got to think about your approaches and sort of how your angles all work together. And the GX has a relatively low approach angle. So when you're going to approach this, you're going to want to take it probably at a bit of an angle like this, and you're gonna let that work its way through. Now you'll notice we've lost our horizon here, and this is why having a spotter can sometimes be very important in this environment. This is a little bit of a breakover angle test here. We're gonna see if we find the middle of the truck coming down. We probably won't. There we go. And then we're going down a sand hill, so we can come down the little hill here and exit out that. Now if you want to see a real breakover test, check out this concrete obstacle here. And think about what sort of ride height you're going to need to be in that environment. All right, there goes the gang. You can see the cloud of dust, and we'll duck in behind them here. I'm not going to be doing things at the speed that I think that Ranger Raptor is doing them, but also going to give a little more spacing here just with the amount of dust we've got in the air. But this is a great way to come out, bring people off-road. You can try relatively tame things to start, you know, and you can be more aggressive and get more aggressive. We've got some steeper trails, some tighter stuff. They've actually got a track set up out here, which, you know, if you could see through this massive dust cloud right now, you will totally get the catch here. They've got a bit of a track, and this is the access to it to get out, and it lets you loop around and everything else. So pretty fun. We're just gonna kind of knock around the park a little bit, just kind of keep it together here off-road. We've got these guys on a pretty aggressive trail here, going up and over. And let's see if we can't get a little better view of the back side of that. You always want to try to see the obstacles before you do anything too crazy with them. And a lot of times what you'll find is you'll have a secondary obstacle in an ORV park like this here on the left that's a little bit less aggressive. It's a little less less crazy, so to speak. So stay out of the water. I always tell people stay out of the water if you can avoid it. But we'll just duck off-road here. And this is a good reminder, this truck's on stock tires, and it's perfectly capable. You can totally get over and get around this stuff. You can have a nice time here kind of knocking through the park. And you see they've got a feature here. It's kind of soft sand, and you just got to power over it. But this is a really cool time. This is a neat opportunity to go check things out. This is to get up to the top, way up here, and to go around. So we'll get out of these guys' way. We're on pretty soft sand here, so you're gonna use a little bit more power to get around, get through. And we'll just maybe knock around down here a little bit, check things out. I'm gonna let the guys in their truly off-roady stuff. You can see Rob up there on the hill with his flag way up there on top, having a good time. But the side-by-sides are just so capable out here too. Well, we'll keep filming here a little bit more. We'll probably jump in the Ranger Raptor, do a little drive time review of that, and go from there. So one thing I really want to emphasize while we're off-road is that you can always turn around. You know, I'm looking up here, and we got a really nasty wash right here. This is really, really, really deep, and you can see what this this looks like down here. And all these trails and these exits in this part of the park, they don't really look realistic for me to be able to accomplish. I could probably get up this guy, but I don't know where it leads. You know, I'm only here so often. So one thing I always stress to folks is, look, here's the deal. If you don't like how things look, if things look uncomfortable, if you're realizing, man, I'm never going to get across that wash right there, I got to use recovery boards, or like this truck is not going to be capable of getting through that. That's something a side-by-side is going to do. You know what you can do? Throw it in reverse, kick the truck around, and head back the other way. There's no shame in it. You have to realize the capabilities of your vehicle, and also understand that I got to drive this home, and my wife has to drive this to work here this coming week. So if this thing ends up on its head or ends up really damaged, I don't want to be in that scenario. If you really want to go super hardcore, go buy a side-by-side. I'll tell you right now, they're awesome. They're super, super fun. I've been out here on their track here. They only allow side-by-sides out on the track. I'm not going to take it in this, but it's super entertaining to go out there and just rip around in a side-by-side. And that stuff makes all this seem like just a total piece of cake. So that being said, you can come out here, you can have a good time. They've got a big trail loop around the park, and it's relatively tame. So we'll kind of go from there. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you liking and subscribing. This is a chance to, you know, take your car that, you know, is probably a little bit off-road capable and really go see what it can do for not a lot of money. A day pass here is about $30. Flags are about 40 or 50 bucks. And really, with a couple buddies, you can come out here and have a nice time. So we're here in the back of the park, and one thing I really want to emphasize to folks is you got to be really conscientious, particularly about water and the depth of water. Topher here is just going to send it through the lake because he is a fool. But let's see him, maybe? He's going the other way. All right, well, let's throw some seatbelts on. I thought he was going to go through the lake, which would have been really funny. But I would highly urge all of you to be very conscientious about water in particular. One, you never really know just how deep that water actually is. And you can very easily get yourself into a scenario. We're gonna get the brake over here, there we go. You can get yourself into a scenario where that depth of that water is unknown to you, and you're gonna end up buried, and it's also can be a very muddy bottom. This area has some mud, it also has a lot of rocks. So you can kind of take a guess on what that bottom looks like. But if that bottom is sand or mud, and you get out into the middle of that and it's a couple feet deep, odds are you're gonna get stuck. And that is a bad time. And it's particularly a bad time in a vehicle that your spouse is going to drive to work next week, especially when the water starts coming up into the floorboards. So we're gonna get some action shots of Topher up there climbing through, knocking through that stuff, which is pretty cool. But this is very sandy back here in the back side of the park. You can kind of see the rutting, and you can feel it when you're in the car. It's real drifty, and it's kind of nice, honestly. You get out into this stuff that's a little more hard pack with the rocks, and he's up there flexing that thing out, having the time of his life. I love it. We're going to jump out and check him, go for a little ride along with him. We're having a YouTubeception moment. Looks great, dude. That thing looks awesome. So we'll give him a little space because the amount of dust he's going to kick up with those massive tires in that thing. I think they're factory 35, so I have to go look at them. But it's got a big tire set on it, and obviously has the EcoBoost motor, and he loves just whipping around. So the fun story is he has one of those. It's gray. He shows up today in a blue one. That's a Ford press car. All right, we've got a bit of a challenging approach here, pretty steep stuff. We're going to give it a little throttle. We're going to try to stay on the high points here and right up and over in the GX. This thing is just so capable. You know, people really don't appreciate when they're driving one of these to the winery or soccer practice, just how amazing off-road a GX or a 4Runner really can be, or a Wrangler. We're having a blast out here. This is awesome. So this is kind of the rim trail to get you around this place. Oh, there's Topher doing donuts, just the usual, sending out a smoke screen. Yeah, he's gonna get the finger for that later. I'm gonna have to do so much power washing and probably get a new air filter. Oh, fantastic. We're gonna let the dust clear here. All right. This is where that trail cam and that Ranger Raptor would be awful handy. Here we are, just rolling down the hill. Very dusty. Very dusty. We're gonna try to stay out of that rut right there. Ooh boy. I think we're gonna have to make an executive and game time decision and gun it through the mud here. That worked. That absolutely worked. So this is our exit out of here over to the right. Topher's gonna go mess around in the Ranger Raptor and do some dumb stuff. I'm gonna be picking dust, dirt, and sand out of this thing for a month. So this is pretty soft stuff that we're now stopped in to let him clear here. And we're just gonna dig right out of it. Ooh, we got a little bit of the traction control firing. It's always fun seeing folks out here in a little bit more normal vehicles. You know, you don't have to have a crazy off-roader to go have some fun out here, and I really appreciate that. That's one of those things that is totally worth it if you've got something. We had a Subaru Crosstrek out here a year ago, and we had an absolute blast in the Crosstrek. It was so fun seeing just how capable a soft roader like the Crosstrek is in one of these environments. I do want to mention something too about the Ranger Raptor, which I thought was super awesome. It was well kitted inside, but this is a big but on a day like today where it's 85 degrees out and pretty humid and full sun. This has air conditioned seats, and that doesn't, and that off-road is what's up. I'm gonna put the pinky up for the GXOR, the Lexus off-road, GX off-road folks. Super fun. We're gonna peel off from the Topher now, and we're gonna do the little Skyline Trail here as kind of a closeout to the video. So this is basically, the stretch we're in right now is basically uncomfortable gravel road. It's probably the best way to describe it. Rough gravel road, and that's kind of the trail set that's out here. You know, for most people, I'm gonna let the side-by-side folks go ahead. I always like to let the more capable vehicle go ahead. These guys are out knocking around here in their side-by-sides having a good time. And so we'll let them go. They can go a lot faster than I can. And one thing too, I'll always suggest if you're off-road, and you'll notice my buddy in the Bronco is behind us. when you're in that scenario, I really highly recommend making sure that the person with the most capable vehicle is second in line. And the reason is if you get into a situation where you get buried, you end up in a water feature in the mud, you get stuck, the more capable vehicle, maybe the one with the winch, maybe the one that's a little bit easier to get you out of that sticky spot, that person is going to be able to help you out in that scenario and get you out of it. So we got a nice little climb up the hill here. You can use more throttle for this, a little more power. And then we're going to test the turning radius here to see if we can get around the corner. The Ranger Raptor couldn't do it. GX does it with ease. There we go. This isn't a comparison video, but it is worth mentioning that this is almost a 10-year-old vehicle now. It's a 2015 model year. And it's still just incredibly capable off-road, and I love it for that. So this is going to be the type of stuff that you encounter, you know, in a lot of places where it's just a really rough, uneven surface. You got a little water feature here. That looks like just straight a mud pit to get buried in. I'm going to pass. These are where some of those more severe runs come out at the top here. You hear my junk in the trunk and all my recovery kit flopping around back there. But this is a really cool spot because you got an awesome view of the whole park as you're cruising along up here. And it's really pretty. So we're going to try to avoid that big rock right there. It's almost like driving over cobblestone. Pretty decent bump here. Get that KDSS going. Just try to stay out of that rut on the left side. A big part of driving off-road is thinking about four-wheel placement and about where all four wheels are in relation to the car. That's something that's super handy on like the Ford Raptor and some of these other newer GXs and off-road spec Toyotas. They have that front-facing camera, and that's just so handy for kind of piecing your way through one of these kinds of environments. But this workout here. We're going to park the GX here because I want to show, it looks kind of tame inside the vehicle when you're doing it, but we are almost tucking tire back here and back. And this goes to show you with that KDSS, where you have the disconnecting sway bars, just how much range of travel you get down here. And you can see this wheel and this wheel are, you know, there's level for you, just how far off kilter that is. And what makes this such a capable vehicle off-road. So this can disconnect its sway bars electronically. It does it automatically at low speed and high articulation. It's a really neat feature of the GX460s. It is standard on all GX460s, at least all the newer, all of them. The 470s, I think it was an option. So, and the new ones all have it too. So as you're coming down the hill here, just gonna use that big brake over here to come through, and there we go. So we're sort of heading back towards the entrance of the park, and we got some bumps here. But that's a full lap here on the front part of the park. Obviously we were in the back part a little earlier, and we'll go head out sort of the way we came in here, back down this cut.